Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some things that I recently picked up at Ulta and Walgreens. So this is kind of like a haul slash like first impressions because I have opened up a couple of these items and I've tried them out for the first time today. Some of them I've worn a couple other days, but the majority of the things I wanted to talk about in this video I wore for the first time today. I had them on since about 7:38 this morning and it's about 8 p.m. or a little past that in the evening, so it's been like a full 12 hours, and for the most part I feel like, it's held up. My lip is definitely completely worn off and my lips are super dry, so we'll talk about that in a minute with the lippy that I recently purchased. But without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and start talking about some of the things that I'm wearing. Okay, so the first thing that I put on my face today, besides like my prep and everything, foundation wise, I got the L'Oreal Infallible 24 Finish Wear Foundation with SPF of 25, and this is in the shade 415, which is Rose Ivory. And first of all, I'm just gonna say I love the bottle. It comes in a glass bottle with a little pump, and I love that. And so far, so good. I would say this foundation held up really well throughout the day. If I look up real close in a mirror, let me grab a little mirror here. It's definitely starting to break up a little bit right here and around my nose area, which is pretty common with most long-wear foundations. I'd say it's not as good as some of my other foundations that are like my top favorites, like Fiona Styles. That one is like a top favorite. But this one, in comparison to other foundations that I have, high-end or drugstore, has held up pretty well. I did notice one flaw this morning upon application. It's not a huge flaw, but one of my primer that I use is Tarte Clean Slate Timeless Smoothing Primer Base. It looks like this. So I go back and forth between using this one and the Dr. Brandt's Illuminizing Pore Filling Primer, and I decided to use this one today because I felt like my pores were looking a little enlarged, and I went ahead and pressed this on top of that primer, and I did notice in some spots it got a little grabby, but it was mainly, I noticed like an area about right here that I noticed that mostly, and there's a little spot right here, and that may just be because I used a little bit more of that primer. I went in a little bit heavy-handed than maybe I normally would. I'm not sure. I'll have to keep testing it. Like I said, this is the first impressions. So overall, I would give this foundation about an 8.5 out of 10. I'm really excited for what the drugstore has to offer so far in 2019, and this has been a fabulous foundation so far. And I can't wait to keep trying it and using different combinations to see how I like it. Which leads me to the next thing. I set it with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder. This is in the shade Fair, and it looks like this. Now, this has been around for a while. This is no new product, but it's newer to me. I hadn't tried it before, and I really, really like it as for a setting powder. It's different because it almost has the finish of an HD powder, in my opinion, or I would say just something that's not as drying as other matte setting powders on the market. I tend not to be on the Laura Mercier like powder train. I like it, I just don't love that powder. And again, this one isn't a loose powder, it's a compact, and I was looking for a compact that I could keep in my purse that would also be really super sleek like this. I really love the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless setting powder. I just want something that packaging is so bulky. I just want something sleek, and I've been happy with it. I've been really happy with it, and I felt like it did a good job at setting my face. I don't think it did the best job at keeping me matte throughout the day like the Fit Me powder does, though. That one really helps like lock the oil in place, since I do have oily skin, so I always have like breakup around here and then on my cheeks, and usually on my forehead and chin as well. So overall, I do like the powder. I think it would be really best suited for someone that has combination normal or dry skin rather than my oily skin in the grand scheme of things, but I do love it. It is a beautiful powder. I just don't think it's going to carry you 12 hours throughout the day. So if you're a nurse or something like that, maybe look into something like the Maybelline one where it will really keep everything locked in place. And then the next thing I have that I put on top of that powder is the Ulta Mineral Blush, and this is in the shade Sweet Pea. And I was super curious about trying this blush. I've heard a couple other beauty bloggers talk about this, and I feel like this blush went on very prettily. It's not heavily pigmented, but that doesn't mean it doesn't show up either. It's almost like a slight wash of color. So it's very buildable, and I like that because it's not so pigmented where you dip your brush in and you put it on and you're like, oh my God, what did I just do? I'm gonna have to start all over. So I really like I like how it's like balanced pigment wise. I think they've done a really great job with that. And I love the color too. It's a really good like neutral but a little pink. Like it has a slight pinky, but it has like a sheen to it too. So I have been wearing it all day. Like I said, you can still see a little bit of it. I wouldn't say it lasted the entire day. I would say probably around the 8-hour mark is when it started to wear off, which is not bad by any means for a blush. 8 hours is awesome. So if you have a chance to check this out, I highly recommend it. I have a couple of other Ulta items I want to talk about. This is the Ulta Beauty Ultra Slim Brow Pencil, and this is in the shade Auburn. Now, I originally wanted to try this because I have heard good things about this, and I will say my tried and true is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Caramel. So this one is in Auburn, so it's a little bit more on the red tone side of things. So I'm just going to swatch it here a little bit. And something I've noticed with this is it's more pigmented. Like when I was putting it on and filling in my brows, and just for reference, my brows are more of a light brown. So they look pretty dark with this Auburn shade. However, I did top it off with one other item, which is the brow tint in Auburn as well. And I was hoping that this would replace my Etude House Color My Brows, which is what I normally use. So when you kind of compare the two, this one's definitely darker, at least the two, but the product is as well. So that was my train of thought when I saw this product. So let's go back. Let's go back to the brow pencil because I'm kind of all over the place. So it does come with a little spoolie on this end, which I do like. And I will say with this product, it's a little bit more waxy than the ABH, but it's not as waxy as the NYX Micro Brow if you've tried that product. So here's the Caramel, which is what I'm used to color-wise, and it's just ever so slightly softer and less pigmented than this one. Doesn't make this one bad because I still really like this one so far. Here's the brow tint in Auburn. I also picked it up in the shade Soft Brown because I felt like that one still had a warm tone to it. But I haven't opened this one yet, so I'm going to wait until maybe my spring summer shade of hair. So I'm going to stick to Auburn for now. I did notice with this product, at first I think I went into heavy-handed. So I will say that off the bat. So I should have wiped off a little bit of the product. When you take it out, you do get quite a bit on there. I tried to wipe off a little bit, but I think I could have like gone full swipe, wiped off a lot more than I did, because I noticed throughout the day, probably around like 11:30, 12-ish, there was a little spot on the top of my brow. I'm trying to get a mirror. That was like right here that you could see like a little fleck in. It was just like a little piece hanging out. And even now, I feel like, I don't know if it's with the lights, you just notice it more. You can see there's like a little dot like right there. So it's just blending. I probably didn't blend it quite well enough, but I mean, once it's there, it's there. So you really have to work it into place. So even now, like even when you wipe it or, you know, kind of like move it throughout the brow, it will move with you. So if you're not careful and you kind of swipe up and hit right there, I noticed that it will stay if you don't get it in time. So just something to be aware of. I don't think it makes this a bad product. I think it's just something I have to keep trying out to see how I'll use it in the future. So this said it was new at the drugstore. I got this at Walgreens. This is by the brand Wet n Wild. And this is their Perfect Pout lip color. And this is in the shade 605B, No More Drama. So this is a lipstick, and it comes in a little matte tube like this with just a little plastic cap. And if you look at it, it's kind of like a satin finish, satin matte. But I found like as I wore it, it definitely dried down a lot more. So I was looking for like a peachy nude. And I'll put it on right now just so you can see it. It might look a little crazy with my eye color, although I did wear it together today just because I wanted to test it out. So it's super pigmented just with a couple of swipes. It's coming a little bit like concealery, like coming off like a concealer. You can see like the line here. I don't know, it's just really choppy. Maybe it's because my lips are too dry or it's not the right color. There's a few different things going wrong with this. So this wasn't my absolute favorite product. It's weird. It feels creamy. It feels not moisturizing, but it feels creamy. It's not like a dry matte on the lips. So actually I'm going to put a little bit of gloss over it because I feel like it does look like it's a little dry. I don't think I would normally wear this color combination of eye and lip together, but we're just going to go with it. So I just added a little bit of the Hard Candy Plumping Serum Gloss in the shade Sugar Sugar. The next thing I have that I really am excited to share and talk to you about, which is like my favorite thing ever, is my eye look. And this is the NYX Swear By It palette, which is this right here. And I think this palette is so pretty. It's just like a perfect range of, you have some reds, browns, yellows, greens, and blues. It's something from the drugstore that I feel like we haven't seen in a while from other brands, maybe other than like Morphe, but I'm not a huge fan of their formulation. I'm just not on that Morphe train, I guess. So I was really excited to see this palette come out. I got this at Ulta and I bought it in store. So the colors in this palette I think are just absolutely beautiful. I decided to work with just this row here after the Ulta employee that I was working with suggested I play with the mustard shade. She said that she like swore by it, and I'm very akin to Paper Tiger by ColourPop, which is another like mustardy yellow shade. So I use these. I have and I don't know the names of these at all. I think they just have numbers on the back of them. So I'll just point to them. So this one right here, I used in my crease, and then I deepen the crease with this shade a little bit. And then I also took this shade on the outside and inner lid right here, and then created almost like a little bit of a halo eye by placing this on the center of the lid. And then use this on my brow bone. And then I took a little bit of my Inglot Duraline and took this shade and just put it on my lash line, and then kind of did a similar thing on the bottom lash line. So all in all, I felt like this palette was super easy to work with. Granted, I've only used those shades. I haven't used any others as of yet, but first impressions, I'm so impressed. Especially from the drugstore, seeing something like in this price range. So I believe this palette was $35, and then I had a 20% off coupon, so of course that helped bring the price down. But yeah, I can't wait to play with it some more. I feel like my eye look turned out really pretty. I would say I could get this similar look with my Natasha Denona Sunset palette for like a fraction of the price. So I'm floored in a way, and I can't wait to try more from that palette. So I feel like the hype is definitely there. The only other thing I wanted to share are just a couple of things I picked up I found in the clearance section recently. So depending on when this video goes up, hopefully soon, you'll be able to hopefully find these in your local Ulta. I got 400 rose chrome, 404 caged, and aluminum foil 408. I didn't have any of these, and I pretty much bought the entire range. As you can see, they're all marked down to $2.99, but then Ulta had their entire clearance marked down 50% off of that price, which is just insane. I've heard so many great things about these metallic paints, pressed shadows, whatever you want to call them. So I'm super excited to try those out. I can't wait. And then I also picked up the L'Oreal Infallible Magic Pigment in the shade Red Tape, and again, this was on that clearance as well. Okay guys, so that wraps up this video. I just wanted to share some of the things that I really had my eye on at the drugstore, things I've been interested in and wanted to hear other people talk about and just kind of share thoughts. So please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know if you like this video by giving it a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.